What are you laughing about, you little laugher? You little scoundrel.
Like, what is going on here?
Oh, man.
Gosh, who do we have on today?
Your breath smells good right now.
Oh, thanks, man. You think you're smelling your own breath.
Oh,
right
it
now.
is my own breath.
It is
it's
your
because
breath.
I have a mint in. And I was like, Philip smells so good. But it is me. Me.
I use that as well for my deodorant.
You use my mint as your deodorant?
Yeah. You know, you just get a mint and you suck on it for a while, get it kind of soft, and then you rub it on. No?
That's disgusting.
Okay, let's start over.
No, I think this is a great way to start.
It's all natural. It probably has more chemicals in it than deodorant.
Yeah. What's the grossest thing you've had to put on your skin?
Oh, man. The grossest thing that I've had to put on it or taken off of it.
I mean, depends on which answer is better.
I mean, you know, I feel like we talked about this on the podcast already, but when you have a cast and it gets all stinky and you get like a chopstick or something and scratch it in there and then that stuff comes off and you have to smell it because you're like, why do you keep smelling it?
We just lost like half the viewers, half the listeners just now.
But comment if you've done that as well. If you've broken
I've never
something.
had a cast.
Oh,
I've never
man.
broken a bone.
Man.
It's because my body is superior to yours.
See, later on in the podcast, we talk about how I'd already be dead if I was living hundreds of years ago.
Because you have a horse allergy.
Because I have a horse allergy, but also because I lived in the emergency room growing up. Not really. I got hurt
You're
a
in
lot.
the emergency room a lot?
Yes, 24 times by the time I graduated.
Well, that's so many.
Well, it's because I was epileptic.
It's so excessive.
And yeah.
Were you
epileptic.
really? Or
and
just like a wannabe?
I broke. That's a thing.
That's not a thing. I'm kidding.
No, there's people that have, it's like a fake epilepsy where they actually have, like, they convulse, but it's not real epilepsy. Psychosis. It's like in their brain.
That is so interesting, man. We're only like 2 minutes in and we're super deep about people faking.
Well, their body is just doing it. They don't. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like those people that we're going to go here. Never mind. Today on the podcast, who we have? I really
Today
don't know.
we have.
I came in today and I have no idea who's
We
on the
have
podcast.
Chris Shiflett of the Foo Fighters.
Are you kidding me?
No, seriously, dude. Get
We
ready.
have Chris Shiflett on the podcast today?
Yeah, he's going to be on here.
And he's in what band?
The Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters.
Yeah, okay.
The Foos.
So there's two questions that we didn't ask Chris today
Oh, I'll answer them.
that I didn't get to ask him. And it's because I didn't put him in my notes, but I just remembered. First question is, who's a better band, Jimmy Eat World or Foo Fighters? So in your opinion, who's better?
That's a hard one. They give you different things.
They give you different things. I feel like Jimmy Eat World and Foo Fighters give you the same thing, but different ways.
Yeah. I love Foo Fighters and I love Jimmy Eat World, so I'm not going to answer this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they provoke the same part of the heart and the brain, but they get about it different ways. They get about it different ways.
They done got about it.
Said like someone who rides a horse. They just get about it different ways is all. That's all you need. You know, everybody's trying to do the same things different ways. You're just trying to get on to anybody.
Here
So
we go.
Also, what is a foo?
A Foo.
And why do we need to fight them?
Why didn't you ask that question?
Have you seen the meme? It's like there's a meme and it's like it's an illustration of a dam, like a huge like 300, 500 foot tall dam, and it's holding back all this water. And then below the dam is this beautiful, quaint countryside town.
I know where this is going.
And then the dam, like over all the water, it just says Foo. And then the town, it says civilization. And then on the dam, it says Foo Fighters. And that was like one of my favorite Foo Fighters memes. There's a lot of them out there.
That's good.
But that's the only one that I remembered for the show. And I'm super disappointed I didn't get to talk to Chris about it.
I found it
So,
here.
Because most wars end either by mutual agreement or because of total annihilation. So when all the Foo is fought, I mean, is there like, what are they going to do?
He's going to retire. They're going to retire.
Yeah. What was the other band we had on that had a conditional name? We had another band. Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah, Taking Back Sunday.
That's what it is. Like when it's finally taken back, like, do you just stop? Like when Sunday has been taken back, or do you take it back out?
That's what I would do.
Take it back. And when all the Foo's been fought, I'm just going to vote. I think they still go.
I agree.
I think they keep going. You know, they're still making killer albums. Just because all the Foo has been fought doesn't mean we need to stop. What did you find?
It's just, I found a quote talking about how he, had I considered this to be a career, I probably would have called it something else because it's a stupid fucking band name in the world. It's the stupidest fucking band name in the
world. Straight from Chris. That's great. Is that from Chris?
No. I think it's from Dave. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's Dave.
Oh, is it Dave? That's so funny. There are a lot of bands out there that don't like their band name. We won't go into that. But I think it's a good segue to go into our band names.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is the part of the show where we list out band names that we've decided on and they're good. They're really good band names. And the bands that they represent aren't necessarily that great, or they could be good. It just depends on what we decide. These are all fake band names, and if you use any of these band names, we'll sue you. But if you email us at dto@walrusaudio.com asking for permission to use it, you can use it. Also,
you've gotten that down. That's good.
The first group that names a band after one of these band names on any episode and releases music on Spotify under that band name gets a free guitar pedal. Literally any pedal. Doesn't matter. And just one. So it's the first person that does that, right? No, I'm saying with each name. Let's get one down.
What if there's like 5 bands that come out all with Father Figure?
That's really good.
Yeah, just one.
Father Figure. I forget about Father Figure.
I'll say it again.
Or Moon Meat.
I'll do it for the 3rd time.
Or Moon Meat. I think it was, I don't know how many episodes ago that was. What's your band name today, Philip?
Today we have Leanne's Rhymes. Leanne's Rhymes is also from Jackson, Mississippi, like the singer Leanne Rhymes. And they were just tired of hearing
Were they on the Con Air soundtrack as well?
They were not. Oh. And they're bitter about it. So they started.
They were on the Air Force One soundtrack.
They're on the Air Force One soundtrack.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got the...
No Nick Cage. They got the...
Harrison Ford.
I mean, gosh, he's the best.
What movie would you rather been in Con Air or in Air Force One?
I would have rather been on set with Harrison Ford. Because he's the coolest. Nick Cage is cool. He seems crazy.
But is he, though? We don't know.
He seems crazy.
Okay, what genre is Leanne Rhymes?
Genre? They're a jam band. Yeah, Leanne's Rhymes.
Leanne's Rhymes.
Yeah.
You know what? If I could go back in time and rename your band, it would have been Leanne's Rhyme. And you just move the S. So
my band name today is Leanne's Rhyme.
I love that.
That was a good one.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Are they from Mississippi?
They're from Jackson, Mississippi.
They were on the Air Force One soundtrack.
Listen.
I love that movie.
Listen,
if I could pick any movie, I would have been in that one. On set with Harrison Ford, because I bet Nicolas Cage is cool.
Nah.
Didn't you just flip that around?
Oh, man. What's the best Nick Cage movie?
Is it National Treasure?
Yeah, it is. What's the second best?
So
I forget about that.
Yeah, we're going to... it's probably The Rock. It's probably, number one's probably The Rock.
That's the one where he's in a prison.
Yes.
Okay. Alcatraz.
What did you say? Is that from Harry Potter?
Dude, he had to escape. He was a prisoner of Azkaban. It was crazy. Nick Cage.
That's from the Harry Potter universe, and this is the real universe.
Oh, man. Oh, my kids are sick. I'm not getting sleep.
Gosh. Is that from Azkaban?
Hey, what's your band?
I think it's the last Harry Potter book I read, though. I think I got to Prisoner of Azkaban. My band name is Crucial Snout. And Crucial Snout is like a Eurodance reggae fusion band. And so they're not directly related, but just the kind of sound, the song.
Hold on. I just want to say the band name because it sounds fun to say. Crucial Snout.
Crucial
That
Snout.
feels good. Crucial Snout.
I thought it was a pretty good band name.
Crucial Snout.
So where that breaks down is the music is kind of, it's okay. It's not, it's like, I could listen to it. So it's kind of, their hit song, Feed Me.
Mm-hmm.
is very reminiscent of the song, in Dumb and Dumber when he's driving the dog car. What does he call the car? Dumb and Dumber.
Sheepdog. 84 Sheepdog.
Shagmobile. Is it the Shagmobile?
Oh.
What does he call it?
I don't remember. Shag and Wagon? No.
Is it Shaggin' Wagon?
No, it's an 84 Sheepdog. Whenever they call it out, when he's driving.
He's driving an 84.
What's he driving? He's driving an 84 Sheepdog.
Sheepdog. But it's the that's what Crucial Snout sounds like. So, and just ironically, they were on last. This is a long time ago. They don't tour anymore, but they were on tour. The last tour they did was opening for Smash Mouth.
Are they like
Smash Mouth did like a B-League hockey tour, hockey arena tour, and they opened up for him on that.
I feel like Smash Mouth has made it on the podcast like 3 or 4 times.
Are you surprised?
I mean,
I'm not surprised.
You're doing something right. Smash
Mouth, out of all the bands that we grew up listening to, Smash Mouth was one of them. I'm kidding. We've talked. Were we talking about with Isaac Hansen, or was it Corey?
I don't know.
Long.
Yeah, Corey. It was with Corey, I think.
Dude, that debut album was sick, though. Walking on the Sun.
Yeah, might as well be walking on the sun.
Okay, let's back up and apologize for a sec. Because bands, when they just become part of like an incessant banging noise in pop culture, I feel like it really does the artist a disservice. So, like when Shrek was getting big and then Smash Mouth just rose with that, I feel, I kind of feel sorry for Smash Mouth. Because I feel like when you hear Smash Mouth, they got looped into some of the hype with Shrek. So, I feel like U2 suffered some of that. Like when Elevation got so big and it was like in every Toyota commercial, ever.
It was like just whenever they put it on
Elevation. It was like in Tomb Raider and all that stuff. And you just got slammed with Elevation. It's like, oh man. And now people kind of are burned out on U2 sometimes, mostly because of that moment in time.
I would say the Apple. I think it was Apple.
It might have been Apple.
Yeah. It just made people mad.
Same, Peter, Bjorn, and John. That's why it's like you don't turn them on. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's just, nobody goes, it was such a cool song.
Yeah.
It was like, these guys going to play ACL Festival? I hope so. I hope they're going to be there. And now it's like, I can't do it because the Apple commercial. So Crucial Snout's debut album is called Bazinga Dinga.
Is that what's
just
the TV
their
show?
made up language, man.
Bazinga.
It's their version of Hopelantic.
It's not going to hold up.
Any Cigaros fans out there? Nope. Fantastic.
Man, every single person just said yes.
I think what it's time for is it's time to go to the bunker, right?
Yep.
And we need to arm ourselves. And we need to prepare for battle because it is time to help fight the Foo.
Oh, man.
With Chris Shiflett. So without further ado, everybody, Christopher Shiflato. And today on the podcast, this is Chris Shiflett, everybody. Say hi to everybody.
Hey there, everybody. How you doing?
I think you're the first person I've had do that.
Nice. Are you guys in, you're in what, like Tulsa or Oklahoma City or somewhere? Where are you guys at?
You got it.
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah. Just to put everybody at a time, date, location, all that kind of stuff. Where are you right now? Where are you? We gave us away.
I am in the beautiful San Fernando Valley here in Los Angeles.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Where I live. I mean, I don't live in the San Fernando Valley, but I live in Los Angeles. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So why don't you profile yourself just a little bit as if somebody's never heard of you and nobody's heard of your work. So the chances are people are going to click on this because they completely recognize your name / the people that you're tied to. But, we pride ourselves in being a podcast for gear enthusiasts, but also for the significant others of gear enthusiasts that have no idea what their boyfriends or girlfriends are into, So pretend like you're talking to those people. Who are you? What do you do? What are you doing? What is
my name? What are you? Who are you? My name is Chris Shiflett, and I am most broadly known as a guitar player, for sure, and most broadly known as one of the guitar players in the Foo Fighters, which is a band that I have been in for coming up on, I think, 24 years now. Dang. I'm a California native. I make records on the side and have done it under various monikers such as Jackson United, Chris Shiflett and the Dead Peasants, and these days I just put them out as Chris Shiflett. Yeah, like solo record kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
West Coast
you
town.
guys would appreciate
West Coast town. Which West Coast town? Which town are we singing about in that song?
Well, I'm singing about Santa Barbara. I think like
Santa Barbara.
Every 1.5 songs is winds up being about Santa Barbara. So I don't know why. It just always comes out in everything. And the funny thing is, I grew up there. I spent most of the first 18 years of my life there, and I haven't lived there in a very long time. But it still is just kind of endless.
Yeah, it's. I love Santa Barbara, and we did for NAMM last year. We did a signature. What do you call it? Signature one-off brew.
Yeah,
for
at Topa Topa.
With Topa Topa, based out of Ventura, but they have a tap room in Santa Barbara.
Oh, nice.
And so. The brewer, the guy that we know from Topa Topa, lived in Santa Barbara, so we crashed at his place while we released the beer.
Oh, nice.
And
it's beautiful.
You know what? I'm from Oklahoma City, so I don't necessarily thrive like in a place like Los Angeles, but I thrived in Santa Barbara. I was living living a great life in Santa Barbara. So, but now he works
because it's known on the West Coast as the Oklahoma City of the West.
Oh yeah,
that's
what we all call it. Yeah,
I'll take that. And now he works for Three Windows Brewing. Are you familiar? And say out of Santa Barbara.
I don't. It's funny because that's such a thing up there nowadays. But I don't drink anymore, so I've missed all the all the craft brew sort of revolution that's gone on in the wake of me quitting drinking.
Totally. What year was that?
2006.
2000.
Wow.
That's a long time ago. Hey.
Before you were born, son. It was before you were born.
It was way before I was born. That's amazing. I'm sure we could do a whole podcast on that.
Before you'd messed with your first pedal, sonny boy, let me tell you.
Tell me about the good old days. What was it like? Hey, I do have a kind of a guitarish question. So you mentioned you play with the band Foo Fighters, and
yes, sir.
So I've kind of always wondered. So usually rock bands, comprise themselves of mostly two guitar players. 3 seems excessive, and 4 is ridiculous. So I don't know. You've probably never heard of them. There's a band, and I don't think they play anymore. But there's a band called Diarrhea Planet. And it's not a joke. And they have 4 guitar players. And that's the only band I know that had 4 that successfully implemented like 4 guitars in all those spots. But you guys have a lot of success with 3 guitars happening. So I'd really like to kind of hear about the science of everyone's kind of individual lane on, well, Chris does this thing, Pat, he kind of goes here, and Dave, he does this thing over, and that's how we don't kind of run into each other. And maybe there are times when you do run into each other, and that's cool too. But how do you guys figure all that out?
Well, when Pat first came back to the band, because I'm sure you know the story. He was the original guitar player, and then he left for a while, and then and then I joined after there was a guitar player between us, and then I joined, and then he wound up coming back. And so at that point, we did think about it a lot, and then probably because we thought about it so much, we just kind of do it now, without a lot of discussion. I think a lot of that comes from, when there's kind of 2 different things, there's in the studio and then there's live, right? So in the studio, you're thinking about that more, and not so much from the viewpoint of how do we not step on each other, but like you're recording a song and, well, what does the song need? Well, what do I think I should play to play sort of against what's already there? And so there's that part that it almost like works itself out in a sense, I think.
Yeah.
Because then when you go to it live, you've already kind of got that, worked out. And there are, like you said, times when we're all banging the same power chords or whatever, and that's a thing. But a lot of the time we're not. And the way that we approached that early on when Pat came back, a lot of the time he was playing a baritone for like big, sludgy sounds, and over the years, I think there's also been like a kind of a tonal thing where I think like Dave's tone live is pretty like, revved up AC/DC crunchy, rock guitar.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Pat would probably go a step up from that a lot of the time, where fuzzed out, gnarly, big, super overdriven sounds.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably doing more of maybe my gain setting generally is a little less than Dave's, still crunchy, but maybe a little bit less, and maybe I'm got more like delays and flangers and phasers and choruses and things swirling around and stereo delays and things like that.
You're bringing the paint brushes. That's what you're bringing.
I'm bringing the paint brushes. I'd like to think, where when necessary and when I can get away with it. So there's that. Yeah.
What was the song we were just listening to? That
I
had
was going to say,
sick
speaking
phaser
of
solo, was that
flanger and phaser?
Was that Black Tops and White Lines?
Yes.
Is that?
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Is that what are
exactly.
you using? And so if you're listening and you haven't heard it, Chris just came out with a single called Black Tops, White Lines. Is that what it is?
Black Tops and White
Black
Lines.
Top, White Lines, indeed. I want to say, some of that, I honestly don't remember exactly what I recorded. I recorded most of my tracks on that album are a telly that I use, which is like kind of my main telly, which is it's a Fender custom shop that I bought probably 10 or 15 years ago out in Nashville. And it's supposed to be, it's like modeled after a 53. So that's, it's got a pickup in it is pretty hot.
Yeah.
And it grits up real nice. And almost exclusively, unless I'm like recording somewhere and I don't have my stuff, it's bound to be either a Phase 90 or a, Phase, the mini one, the Phase 95 or whatever, it's that thing. But when I listen to that, I almost think like maybe Reed that mixed it or Jaron that produced it maybe threw a little extra flange or something on it, because it definitely has like a kind of a harsher,
sounds like it's in post. It does, it's
quality.
Very,
you know what I mean?
Swallow.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Mouth
chewy. They've got that thing. So,
it's it's like a. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, making this new record, because that's the first song off a whole record that's coming later in the year, and Jaron is like kind of the workflow of it all was like a little different than how I've made records in the past. Like when we would record, it was just a bunch of musicians in the room recording all the basic tracks are live, you know. So there's that, and then I would take that and go, you know, we do that out in Nashville. I would take that and I'd come back to LA and I'd over stuff on it and maybe re-sing a part here and there and just kind of tweak it. But also Jaron would take it and take that stuff home and he'd tweak it and do all this kind of production stuff, you know. It's kind of a trip, like some of it, because I'm one of, you know, on each track there's 3 of us playing guitar and like stringed instruments. So I've actually, in working out how to approach playing some of the stuff live, I'll just crack open the mixes and sort of, you know, listen to like what Charlie Worsham did or what Nate, you know, did. And oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Look at that. Coffee.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of coffee.
So, yeah, I like coffee. I think you guys sent me a bunch of coffee, which is sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, you know, there's that stage of sort of messing around with it and adding effects and tweaking stuff and that sort of almost like sound effect-y things that goes on. And then there's the dude that mixed it, this dude Reed Shippen, who then, you know, would take it and just turn things on their head too and mute parts and, you know, maybe something that you didn't think was going to be prominent was and vice versa, all that sort of stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it really evolves from when you record it to, so a lot of the time you're like, man, I know I played that, but I don't really know what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah, dude. It makes me want to like break through no trespassing area and like steal stuff. Like it's bad boy music, you know. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna get into trouble tonight. Yeah. This is like, woo.
Totally.
I mean, it got my blood boiling a little bit. I was like, am I 17 or what not? So yeah, backtrack just a little bit. So you're in, you know, arguably the greatest rock band of the decade, you know, kind of our time of where we are in rock and roll. Most people would be fine with that. And, you know, kind of take your vacation time whenever Foo Fighters isn't recording or touring. But instead, I think in 2017, and it even goes back further than that, but just kind of what we were able to find, you know, 2017 and up to today. You've been writing and releasing kind of your own stuff. What kind of inspired that, and what's wrong with you? Why are you working more? What's going on?
It really is like, as the years go and things get busier and busier, it really does get harder to maintain that balance. And the thing that's goofball, if I should be more disciplined about it all, but I'm just not. So like I usually, you know, like when Foo Fighters are working, we're working really hard and we're really busy and we're touring a lot or we're making a record, whatever it is that we're doing, it's full on, you know? And usually in that time, I'm not like writing and preparing. I might like write a little bit or just kind of like noodle around ideas and record them here and there, but I'm not like really getting like songs together. So it's usually like after a long Foo Fighters cycle, I will sit down and sort of figure out, you know, to be that time where you want to go make another record. And so you'll sort of work that out. But by the time you get that done, it's like we're back to work. So like, you know, that's like, you know, I've got a busy year of Foo Fighter touring ahead of me. But, and I made this record during like a lot of 2021 and even into 2022 was when I actually like recorded these songs. Yeah. But it just takes a while to get stuff out. You know, if I was like my game, I would have put this out a year ago and had a little more time to kind of do it in the downtime. But as it stands, I'm kind of doing it right on top of going into being, you know, full on Foo Fighters schedule again. So yeah. Time management, not one of my real great strengths, apparently.
Yeah, so Foo Fighters seems like one of those bands, obviously, like there's a front image that, I mean, gets the fans super excited. But I think behind the scenes, correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely seems like there's Gantt charts, you know, and like severe project management happening in the boardroom of Foo Fighters. Is like, who manages all that and who keeps things straight and who keeps things on task? And am I somewhat correct, or shed a light on that?
Oh yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's a big operation for sure. I mean, just taking our band on tour, like, you know, you've got I don't know how many people on the crew, like crew that we never even meet because they're there before we get there and gone before, you know, like so yeah, it's a big operation. I mean, luckily in Foo Fighter land we have a great team of people that do keep, you know, things rolling and everything organized, from our management and all the folks there to like our touring crew of people. I mean, I was just on a call right before I jumped on with you guys with our production manager and my guitar tech and my buddy Allie that runs our studio here, talking with the guy that's designing my new pedal board. And, you know, yeah, there's that. There's a lot of folks. There's a lot of planning that goes into it, you know. It's a big operation for sure.
Yeah.
Are you going to say something?
No, you go.
No, you go.
I don't have anything.
Oh, I thought you were about to cut in.
No.
Oh, are you managing all that yourself? Like getting your pedal board set up and like the time and like what effects you want on it, or is your tech doing a lot of that?
I mean, I'm involved for sure because it's like it's funny. My solo pedal board, which is a different little beast, is actually
Little
wound
Beast
up
is a good band
impacting
name.
my. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's our new band, guys. Let's do it.
Yeah,
because that's what we all need. More shit.
We can see that time management.
Yeah, I'm starting to see.
No, we should totally do it.
Let's start a new band.
Yeah, it's a problem. So I started using some stuff with my solo thing that I then added to my Foo Fighter board, which then sent me down this whole kind of thing. And I've been like kind of streamlining and redesigning that with, and I say me, but it's really just me talking to Dave Friedman, who's designing the board, and telling him kind of what I want it to do. And then he puts it all together and designs it. Yeah, I'm involved in that to an extent. I'm more involved or like sort of hands-on in design. And now I've just kind of redid the one that is for my solo thing, because for that, like in the big, huge touring rig, I've got, you know, 2 half stack. I got 4 half stacks going, I guess. Yeah. And then, you know, and all the routing stuff and A-Bing between things. And so it's a big thing. In my solo thing, I have recently gone completely to the digital dark side, where I am now not even bringing an amp on tour. I'm playing through a Strymon Iridium that comes out through assorted things, and ultimately, for those listening at home, goes into a fucking Walrus Canvas stereo
there you go.
DI.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, and I bought one of those G3 gig rig like switcher things. And so the bud here that runs our studio, Allie, who used to be Dave's longtime guitar tech, but he's not on tour with us anymore, was sitting here helping me. Him and Pat's tech, who's my other friend Solar, helped me put the whole thing together. And then we were just sitting down this morning, also before I jumped on with you, and just trying to figure out how to program it all. And it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like it opens up some cool tone stuff that I'm going to be taking advantage of for sure.
That's great. I have a G3, and I had to have one of our guys here, Lee, help me set it up, because I'm not smart enough to get it programmed. And I honestly, I only bought it because it was, we're getting off the rails on Gear Talk, but I only bought it because I could only find 3 or 2 switchers on the market that had 3 stereo ins and outs. And I had like a stereo chorus, and then I've got, you know, verb and delay, and I wanted both those, you know, for sure in stereo, but the stereo chorus, I wanted at least, 2 stereo outs for that. But yeah, it was either that or there was a QSAC
that's exactly why I got it as well, because I'm running, for my solo thing, I'm running, I've got, you know, a bunch of, you know, phasers and overdrives and things going on. And then that goes into one of those Strymon Deco pedals that I have set to that like secondary function.
That's one of my favorite guitar pedals ever.
Wet, dry. Oh, it's the best.
It is.
So I have that as just like almost right up the middle where it's tape coming out one side and dry coming. So it just gives it, it's not quite a slap. It's just like that, like that stereo chorusy kind of thing, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that goes into the timeline. And from that point on, the whole thing stereo. So that goes into the, not into the timeline, I'm sorry. That goes out of the deco into the iridium, from the iridium into the timeline.
Yeah.
And so I'm running stereo, like ping-pongy delays out of the timeline, and then into the, what the fuck's that thing called? The Flint. That's like the tremolo and the reverb, right? So, and that's all in stereo too. So yeah, the G3 thing, I don't remember if somebody told me about it or I stumbled upon it online, but I got to tell you, I'm a total Luddite with this stuff too. But the guy that runs that company, Daniel, is so... that dude is rad. He is like, you can get him on the phone. He helps you out. Like, he'll explain it to you. He sent me, I basically, same kind of guy. I told him what I wanted it to do, and he mapped it all out for it and sent it to us. And then Allie and Solar here, like wired the whole thing together. And so, you know, the hard part is sort of the wiring and assembling all that stuff. That's for me where I get lost. But the actual programming of it is super easy. It's amazing.
That is amazing. Daniel didn't do that for me. So that he did.
Well, maybe he didn't know you were a podcast host, man.
Listen,
you should have him on your show and pepper him with questions.
On that pedal show, I've been there, and he didn't offer that to me at all. So,
he will once this posts. He will once this posts.
It was it was sweet being there. It's out in the middle of nowhere, in like, you know, in.
Oh, on that pedal show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Somerset.
Oh, you actually physically went there?
Yeah, as like a walrus thing. We like did, we went and we were like at the show and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, they want to jam, and then you're stuck playing guitar with Mick and Dan, which is like, they're freaking amazing. And I'm just a hack.
Are you a jammer?
That's a good way to,
like,
that's a generous way to say it. Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing, like, you know, it's funny, like, when in my age and the sort of scene that I grew up in, there was nothing more. If you say, hey, dude, let's jam, like, you would have been laughed out of them. And we never, the jamming was like, fuck you, you fucking hippie. It was like that, you know what I mean? Like, it was not... This was the 80s, man. It was not cool. Especially, like, I grew up in, like, the land of the solstice parade and avocados and fucking hippie residue everywhere, believe you me. And we fucking hated it. Right. I've lightened up on that now at my advanced age. But at the time, it was like, that was like the you know, the worst thing. But yeah, so it's funny, as much time as me and my friends and all our, you know, buddies that played music, as much time as we all spent woodshedding and garages and, you know, making a racket, we sure didn't spend a lot of that time like jamming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it can be kind of like, you know, it can be like, you can be totally like competent at your instrument, but there's just like certain things.
Yes.
I don't know, I really actually kind of like that now. Like just noodling around and with people, I find that really enjoyable. But like, but when I was younger, I think it made me really nervous. It was just so out of my wheelhouse, you know.
It's terrifying.
I still get nervous. People are like, you want to jam? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess so we'll just kind of noodle around. And then it's like, but there's this expectation. It's like, are we jamming to write songs? Are we just jamming for pleasure? Or are we, is this going to, you know, there's always like these golden shadows of like, what's the ulterior motives here? That's what I'm thinking about. Probably not everybody's thinking about those things. But
all I think about is
I think jamming for pleasure is like the name of the first Little Beast EP.
There you go.
Yeah, little jamming
to bring that all around.
Every time
Every
time I've been asked to jam with somebody, it's always like the best guitar player or the best drummers, and so it's like, oh. No,
yeah.
No.
Also, are you bragging right now? It sounds like you're bragging, which I think is good.
No, that's not a brag.
I mean, every time I get asked to jam, it's like
it's here at the shop.
It's with the best by the best.
Yeah.
We'll shoot our pedal plays here, and we bring.
I naturally slot in as being the best.
Yeah, every time I get asked to dinner, it's always with the most wealthy, most influential people.
It's just like John Mayer.
It's crazy. It's just.
Yeah, it just keeps happening to me. I don't know. It's weird.
It's-
Right place, right time.
Listen,
Hate me or not.
it's for the pedal plays, and it'll be the guys that come in and play, and they're incredible. They can just sit down and write a song and play a song, like, and never miss a beat, never hit the wrong note. And they're like, "Hey, Philip, you should jump in and play on this one." I'm like, "Absolutely not. This is being recorded."
Yeah. That's when I just like stay in my lane. You
Yeah.
know? That's what's the best thing. If you just play stuff, you know.
And as long as
they think
people
you're
don't
good.
hear you, you can still be the best.
Yeah. And it's like, but little do you know, that's the only stuff I know. So
We all have like at least, 3 or 4, what I think of as like guitar store licks,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
that you do when you're in the guitar store and you pick up the guitar and check it,
Yeah.
You think that like, whoa, that dude knows his shit, man.
Yeah. I've got one for the acoustic room and then one for the electric room. The guitar store. Yeah. This is the acoustic riff. This is the amp trying out the amp.
We should
or
do
trying
it.
to tell
We
you.
should do-
Man, that guy's like deep bluegrass. Check him out, man. That dude's heavy.
You don't get guitars around you these parts very often. You play with somebody? Yeah, I do. It's called a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, backtrack just a little bit. Talk about so what were you doing before Foo Fighters, and then what was the on-ramp to Foo Fighters like? Just kind of researching on my own, it sounds like some happenstance audition, but stories are always have a little bit more to it than that. What was that? What happened there?
Yeah, in prior to being in the Foo Fighters for about 4.5 years, I was playing guitar in a band called No Use for a Name, and I was living up in San Francisco. They were from like the San Jose area, and they were on a record label called Fat Records, and so I was playing with them and making records and doing stuff. And then we had another side band thing that was kind of project punk rock supergroup kind of thing called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes that started in those years as well.
Yeah.
So that's
supergroup?
what I was. Well,
I'm just
supergroup in the
wondering,
sense that it
who's
was
in
like
it?
we were all in different bands,
Yeah.
So it came together. So that was all happening, and then the opportunity to audition for Foos came up, and I jumped at it, and it really was like a wild shift because I didn't, I'd never met any of those dudes, and joined the band right at a time when they had just made the 3rd record, but it wasn't out yet. So I got to be there for all the promo, like that was like learning the phrase promo tour was all new to me. I'd never been on a promo tour. That's this thing that bands do before the record comes out, where they fly all over the place and do interviews and play on TV shows and do little underplays in clubs and in-store signing, like all that stuff. It was just all new territory. And so every day, and I'm not exaggerating, every day was just like 1,000 miles an hour. Just like literally the first thing I did was fly around the world with the band, go to all these crazy places I'd never been to. And it was just wild, man. And then we got into like the meat of the touring. And it was just kind of off to the races, next thing you know, it's 24 years later and you're still going, but it was a gigantic, change for me. And then right after that, just a couple months after I joined, I wanted to move into New York, and, life just all kind of changed a lot.
Put more language around. I heard about an audition. Like, how did you hear about an audition? What was the audition like? Who was it with? All that kind of stuff.
You know what's crazy, dude? I have, because our tour manager now, Gus, was the tour manager from before I was even in the band. So he's been with Foo Fighters for a very long time. But he set up a little video camera in the corner for the auditions, and I think filmed all of them. So he has, and got me a few years ago, my very first audition, because I actually auditioned twice about a week apart. But I have the first one on video, and it's so wild, man.
That's
like
amazing.
I walk into the room, and I've got my Les Paul in my little case, and I'm wearing a backpack. I got shorts on. I'm like, hello, I'm here for the audition. It looks like I just came from junior high or something. That first one was not super long. It was maybe an hour, because they were doing a bunch of auditions, and we just played a few songs and kind of sat around and talked a little bit, and Honestly, I was just in awe of the whole thing and trying to keep it together and try not to be too nervous. And, it's pretty overwhelming because they were pretty much my favorite band, like of the big bands. I mean, I was also listening to a lot of like more kind of underground music and stuff too, but like out of the bands that like you would hear on the radio and see on MTV or whatever, like Foo Fighters was numero uno for me at that time.
That's amazing.
So I was tripping, for sure.
Did you play Foo Fighters songs for the audition, or did you play?
Did.
So was there like a drummer there, or they had like?
Yeah, no, it was the whole band. Yeah, it was.
Oh, so it was with the band.
Dave. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was with the band.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So what it was they sent out to presumably everybody that did auditions. They sent out a cassette tape of 4 songs, and it was a song from the first record, song from the second record, a song from the Godzilla soundtrack. There was this weird song called A320. And a song from the third album that I'd never heard because it wasn't out yet, and it was that song Aurora.
Wow. Yeah,
and I think they put A320. I've never asked, but I'm sure they put A320 and Aurora on there to like throw curveballs to whoever auditioned, because those are a little like weird, or it's not like the sort of standard like Foo Fighters thing that you think of, So yeah, I'm sure I must have that cassette in a box somewhere in storage, which I would love to find. But yeah, that's how it was. They sent me a cassette.
So you walked into the room with the Foo Fighters, your favorite rock band.
How do you land an audition like that? Were you recommended, or did you apply through like a cereal box label, or what was?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah,
Caller
I
number 9.
answered an ad in the back of there's a little classified in the LA
It's
Times.
the little rip-off tags in the bathroom,
It was stuck up at a coffee shop, and it had those little tags.
That's what I figured.
No, that would be incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, a buddy of mine knew a lawyer that worked at the law firm that represented the band. And it was my friend Bill, who has always, like Bill when we were younger, I've known Bill since I was a little kid, basically, but he was always the dude. We were like, musicians that had both moved down to LA from Santa Barbara. He's like one of my best friends in the whole world, but he was also the dude that just somehow always knew more about how the music industry worked than all the rest of us. Like he could explain a publishing deal when we were like, 20 years old or whatever, like
nice.
in a way
That's a good friend to have.
Like he was just, I know. And he was just that dude, just kind of like the guy that I always, and still, believe you me, like still lean on a lot for advice and, to sort of pick things apart. And anyway, yeah. So my buddy Bill knew, I got my name thrown in the mix through him.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
And he doesn't get any of my salary. You know what I mean? How is that fair?
That is crazy.
Nice. But he's a lawyer. He's fine. He's doing okay.
Well, he's not a lawyer. It was his friend that was the lawyer. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll send him some coffee too then.
There you go.
It'll be really
Perfect.
great. Okay, so what's different? So that was in 99, right?
Yeah.
So what's different on tour, this upcoming tour? What are some things that are different between the upcoming tour and then touring with the band in 1999? What are some things that have changed?
Oh, everything has changed. I mean, venue size.
Yeah.
The quality of hotel. Back in those days, we used to all be on the same bus. You know, it was just stuff like that. It's just kind of nuts and bolts. I don't think there were any trucks. Now there's like 1,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's all changed quite a bit. I always say, like, when I joined the band, and I really feel lucky that I joined. Of course, I would have loved to have joined earlier and been there from the beginning, but I still got to be there for like a lot of the ride, which was great because like I know, like at that time when you think about 3 albums and the band was already totally established and well known and everything, but like we were like a 4 o'clock slot at the festival band at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We were still playing in daylight at the festival in those days. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, and to get to go through all the years of like, into the bigger size venues, and you're in like the old beater hockey arena that nobody goes to anymore, and you only sold half of it till like the next time you come around, you're at the nice new arena and you almost sold it out, and then the next time it was like sold out the nice arena, and then maybe even got to the spot beyond that, like has been like just it's like the shit that we all dream of when we're little kids, like staring at Kiss records, and I feel really lucky to have gotten to be a part of that.
When you're on tour, how do you stay sane? How do you stay healthy? How do you stay mentally awake and physically alive? Do you have a workout routine, or do you have like meditations? Do you walk? Do you run? What feeds you? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my usual routine. It's, what changed the most is like when my wife and I had kids. I got 3 boys. And that changed. I mean, that just changes how you're hardwired, So like for me on tour, it's like almost like it doesn't matter how late you're up. It doesn't matter how late the gig was, or you had to drive over, a couple hours to get to the next town or whatever. Like, I'm just kind of up with the sunlight most of the time. And I like to get out, and I like to see where I'm at. And I do like to go to the gym and get a good workout in, and just take that time for yourself everywhere you are to experience it. It's really hard to stay kind of in the moment. I mean, I say that, but I fail miserably at it all the time. But it is nice when you do that. And because it's also really easy on tour to never see anything, and like it doesn't make any difference where you are, because all you ever see is a hotel room and the venue. Maybe the bar after the gig, like that. That's really easy to kind of go through a whole touring cycle that way, and I like to not do that. I like to see it. I got friends everywhere. Check in with people, see the sights.
Do you like to see friends on tour that are locally in some of the places you're stopping at?
Yeah, I mean, I like to see them on tour. Maybe go have lunch. I don't really I don't really hang out after the show much. You know what I mean? So I don't like kind of doing the whole boogie woogie at the gig. But I love depending on where we are, going to hang with friends for sure.
Does that fit? Does connecting with people, does that feel you? Do you get more energy after you've connected with people, or do you have like finite social dollars where like you kind of spend them throughout the day? Because that's how I am. Like, I like to connect with people, but then afterwards it's like, I gotta take a social break. I need a mask, and like I need some darkness.
That's a good way of putting it, man. Finite social dollars. I mean, more at the gig, because at the gig, I don't want to. I just don't want to hang out with anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like there's the task at hand, and I like to kind of relax before the show, and maybe an hour or so before the show, I just want to play my guitar and warm up and kind of get in that frame of mind. And then when the show's over, we play a nice long show. I'm tired. I just want to go take a shower and go to bed and try to get some rest, do it the next day. But, meeting up for lunch, or, seeing people during the day, or much less if we're somewhere where there's surf, then hell yeah, I'm going to see my friends for sure. Go do that.
So you surf? Oh, I guess if you're from Santa Barbara, it's probably a big thing.
What's that Dawes song? Comes in Waves, where the lyrics are like, boy grows up in a beach town, but never learns to surf. Yeah, I know. That's just interesting.
Yeah, because they don't surf. Isn't that the craziest thing? They're from Malibu.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah, but they're cool. I love them.
Yeah, I think they're my second best rock band after Foo Fighters. I'll put Dawes up there.
I have interviewed the singer from Dawes a couple of times, and I think maybe in the second, I don't remember if it was the first or second, but one of those interviews, I was like, so, you're from Malibu, you grew up surfing? He was like, no. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That is crazy.
Third Point is right there, and Zuma and fucking Point Doom. What are you doing?
I know. Well, I'd proudly say...
But I also, by the way, I totally relate to that, because I grew up in Santa Barbara, which has some world-class waves, and I didn't start surfing till I moved away. So I make fun of Dawes, but I totally relate.
There you go. That makes sense. I am from Oklahoma, and I can successfully ride a horse. So
Nice.
And shoot a gun. So I guess
not easy to do. Not easy to do.
Yeah.
My wife and I actually looked into taking some horseback riding lessons recently because I cannot ride a horse. But my wife and I took horseback riding lessons when our kids were real young for a little while, and I loved it. It was so fun, but I never really
loved it,
got
huh?
there. I loved it. Yeah, but I never got to the point where I could what I really wanted to do was be able to walk into a stable and throw a saddle on a horse and ride away.
Yeah.
And I just never got there. I always had to have the training wheels and the trainer and the person talking me through it,
Yeah.
I think it's funny with stuff like that. It's like a mix of you being intrigued by something that you aren't familiar with, that you didn't grow up with, that you don't really know, and then also a little mix of nostalgia. Because when we were when we were young, my dad took us and my brothers a couple times up to a dude ranch up in North County, Santa Barbara. And just rode trail horses that don't give a fuck. You're not really riding it. They're going to do what they're going to do.
The old beaters.
But yeah, you know what I mean. So, but as a little kid, I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So there's it's that mix. It's sort of something I don't really know, and then a little nostalgia from my childhood.
It's a good memory.
Yeah. Philip, you horseback ride much?
Man, we shot a video for a pedal we released. And we went to his mom's or his parents' place, and I rode the horse, and I am deathly allergic.
Oh,
you
remember I forgot that? You were allergic to horses.
We
Are you allergic to horses or just mammals in general?
Horses, I guess. I don't know.
Horses.
I'm not allergic to.
Wow.
I'm kind of allergic to dogs, but yeah, we had to film each scene, and I had to clean my face off after every scene.
Oh my gosh!
And then
I've never heard of somebody being allergic to a horse. That's wild.
I agree. I think you are making this up.
You were there.
Who has a horse allergy?
What?
You were
what
there
would you have
riding
done if you were born 150 years ago?
I would have died.
How
I would have been dead
what I
long
mean?
before I got on a horse.
You wouldn't even made it to the Donner Pass. Be in a field somewhere.
Oh my gosh!
Oh man.
I think you have a dander allergy or something like that.
Probably.
I don't think it's exclusive.
Those horses, your mom's
horses.
horses were just really dandery.
That might have been it. Well, they live in I don't know if they live in a barn. They live outside, Are you a dog person?
When I was in the oh yeah, I'm a big time dog person. But I was gonna say when I was in the Gimme Gimmes, we every album was a different theme of cover songs, and one of them was we covered a bunch of country songs, and for the album cover we did this photo shoot where we had it wasn't a Clydesdale, but goddamn it was close. So whatever is just before a Clydesdale, it was a big ass horse, and me and the singer were they were kind of putting the shot together, and we're supposed to be sat up on it. So we get up on this horse, and you ever just get a sense from an animal just right away that he was not cool with it, and you just got that feel right away. He kind of I remember the horse kind of looked at us ugh, and it just started to run. And we both jumped off in the nick of time, but that was
oh my god,
that was, horses are big fucking animals.
Yeah, they're
man.
huge.
Big animals. That scared the hell out of me.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Good instincts. There's decision points in life where you opt out of chaos immediately, but there's a little bit of pain involved to opt out of the chaos, and sometimes you got to jump off the horse.
Yeah.
See, in that scenario, I would have stuck on and died.
Oh my gosh! So you're a sticker honor.
I'm a sticker honor.
That's what they call you.
Sticker honor.
Yeah, that's what they call you.
How to tame that horse.
Social science calls you sticker honor. It's the worst
fight
type
or
of
flight.
person.
I guess I'm a flight. Yeah,
flight.
We should make a fight.
While we're on here, we should just make our own personality typing system.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
I'm a fight. I guess.
Yeah. Are you the personality?
I should have fought the horse. I blew it.
Just started.
Yeah. Personality typing. I kind of. I think I know from just kind of your prolificness of the content that you do create, but are you kind of a future addict, or are you good at being in the moment, or do you kind of, when you lay your head asleep at night, are you thumbing through the past? What are you doing? Which of those three?
A little bit of both, but I'm probably more stressed about the future
Yeah.
than worrying too much about the past. Yeah.
Yeah. Like on how's it all going to work out, or what's my place, or
Yes.
what stresses you about the future?
Oh man, we're going
Besides
deep.
war.
Oh God, everything, everything. Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, no, everything. I mean, that's like, I mean, God, being a dad, it's just that's like you
big
love your
responsibility.
kids so much, but it's just this like you're just so irrationally worried all the time. You know? And my oldest, like, he's in college now. He's like living on his own out and doesn't live, lives far away from us and everything. So it's like, it's like a macro version of the first time he rode off down the street on a bike or a skateboard or something. We're just like, he's out there.
Oh gosh. So you have large children, like XL. Like you're in the big. You have old, how old are your kids?
You want to hear something that's so humbling? All my children are taller than me. I'm not a tall man. I'll put it. We can start there.
I thought you said older. All of my children are older than me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get into relativity. And I was on a ship at light speed.
I went back in time on tour. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Touring, you reverse time. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, my kids are 19, 16, and 15. And even my 15-year-old is taller than me now. It's like, come on. Stop growing.
Do you still have like dad strength where you can still beat the like in a wrestling match? Can you conquer the 19-year-old still, or what's the deal? When does it wear out?
I don't think so. No, I think he's got me. I think it's because you know what nowadays kids, teenagers all go through this like thing of where they get into working out. Yeah. It wasn't much of like, I didn't know anybody that went to the gym when I was a kid. Maybe I guess like the jocks did, but like none of the people that I hung out with were working out and stuff. But now because
you were too busy jamming.
All these kids,
because you're a jammer,
fucking jamming, dude.
You're such a jammer, man.
Yeah, just eating avocados, smoking doobs, just jamming.
Santa Barbara it up.
Santa Barbara on the beach with some congas and some fire sticks. You know the drill. You've been there.
Yeah, the Baja sweater. That's good.
I bet I could take my 15-year-old in a wrestling match, but only just. And he'd probably fight dirtier than me, so who the hell knows, really?
He's going to watch this and just like take you on.
My son, my oldest is 11, and then we have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old after that. But my oldest, I've told him like it'll never happen. Like he'll never be able to conquer me, And so in his mind, he's like, I will be able to. Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering like where that line is, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm more worried about my 8-year-old daughter. She went and hugged me the other day, but did like the squeeze thing, and I've cracked a vertebrae. I was like, you're like
nice,
strangely strong. You scare me. So
I give my 4-year-old.
Yeah, it's all that years. Whole Foods pure, organic milk you're feeding them.
Exactly. strong people.
And the avocados, dude.
And the avocados and the conga muscles that they all have now. That's amazing. So were you a father before? I'm bad at math. So you were a father after Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I joined in 99, got married, and we had our first baby in 2003. And
great year for kids.
Then great year for kids.
How did that change the dynamic of touring?
Everybody
everybody has children in the band, right? Lots of people do.
Everybody has children, everybody does. But I was the first one by about 5 months, and then Nate had his first son, and then everybody followed after that. But once it got into the realm of everybody having kids, and we all had young kids at that point, the summer tours really changed a lot in a really good way, because everybody brings their families out, and nice. There's like just kids everywhere making a racket, playing with stuff. It just very, very different than when it's just just the band.
Yeah,
way more fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun as a kid. How fun would that be? Going out.
Yeah. It is that weird thing though, as a, like my how do I say this? Like my kids have grown up around this really their entire lives, have been around the band, the touring, you know, what a backstage looks like, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, like, from their point of view, because all that mystery that we had growing up, they don't have. They know what it looks like backstage. You know, they know how all that stuff works. You know, so I think it's probably the best thing that I've ever given my kids is to have taken them like traveling a lot.
Yeah.
I think is a very, very good thing.
Where's your favorite place to go to travel?
I mean,
What lights you up?
it's hard to say, hard to pick just one. I personally love like Australia a lot, and New Zealand as well, and just so much of Europe. I love going to Europe. I love taking my kids to Europe. There's so much there to do and show the kids and everything. Probably the most kid-friendly place to travel anywhere on earth is Italy, I would say.
Wow.
And
Why would you say
the
Italy?
Italians are, because the Italian people, in my experience, are just so goddamn nice to your kids.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a restaurant in Italy and they come over and they dote on your kids first. And they bring, you know, especially when your kids are really young kids don't want to wait for anything.
Yeah.
So you got to get them their food really quick.
Yes.
Which is sort of at odds with the typical sort of like European, have a nice long dinner and relax kind of thing. That's totally cool. But your kids don't care because they're 4 and they just want their pasta right then. So the Italians, like I said, maybe it's not like this everywhere. I don't know. But in my experience, Italians dote on your children in a way that makes things nice and comfortable for us as parents.
Sounds like it makes it a lot easier.
Let's take our kids to Italy.
Let's go.
That's great. I had to
all
go
you
to
gotta
Italy
do.
for Walrus early, like a couple months ago, and
Had
listen,
to go.
yeah, they're like, yeah, let's meet for dinner at 9:30. I was like, oh, I'm a father. And my kids aren't here, but I'm still a father. I'd love to eat at 5:30
Yeah.
if possible. And they're like, for lunch
Yeah.
then? I was like, no, not lunch. For dinner.
Yeah.
Like, that is too
Oh no,
late.
it's funny, you know, we're all just like the products of where we come from. And as much as I can see the value in having a nice long, like 4-hour French dinner, like it is, you can't like undo your sort of Americanness when it comes to that sort of shit. Like, I want my food and I want it real fast. God damn it, come on. Hot and fast. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good
You got to
band name.
get into the groove when you travel abroad.
That's amazing. What were we talking about? We're talking about the future.
Talking about-
So in your mind, in the future, what's going on in the future? What does the future look like in your brain? What are you doing? And what is everybody else doing?
Oh man, like the eventual future, my eventual.
What are you
like
gonna do
my
when you retire,
immediate
Chris?
future. Oh God, I don't know. Like, is that even an option for a musician? Like, I don't know. Good question. I do fantasize sometimes about having like long stretches where, like, I always said to my wife, like, as soon as our youngest goes off to college, I am like going to buy a one-way ticket to a tropical island. I don't know when I'm coming. I'd love for you to come, but I don't know when I'm going to come back. I'm just going to take my surfboard, a pair of swim trunks, and just go chill. Because at that point, we will have done our job. Mm-hmm. We will have fulfilled our responsibility. We raised them. We took, we sent them off to college, and now it's me time to go do nothing.
Man, that sounds great.
Whether or not that actually ever happens, it's probably unlikely, but we'll see.
Yeah. I see kind of a progression in the music industry where the power where the power of your influence moves from your fingers into your brain. So early on, like a lot of people are working in crews and doing things and playing guitar, like you're dragging your guitars everywhere, you're setting up amps, you're loading amps in the back of trucks and hoping they don't tip over on the way to band practice, all that kind of stuff. And then you're in a band and you're paid, you make money playing with your fingers. And then you start, writing. And then you start, some of the work kind of starts, instead of coming from your hands, starts to come from your brain a little bit more. And then eventually, people drop the instruments and then, either start engineering, producing, consulting, writing books, things like that. Like, are you do you want to see yourself like writing or producing or more in the future, or are you going to shred for life, or what's up, man?
I guess, you just kind of have to see what comes down the pike, I mean, I have been fortunate to work with some great producers, and I think about that sometimes. Like, would I have the ability that some of these cats do to see the whole picture, to really make that judgment call? I think it's, who knows? I haven't done much of it. I've done a little bit of producing here and there, but not a ton. It would certainly be fun to try.
Who sees who have you worked with that sees the whole picture like that you like?
Oh man, I mean, both Jaron, that from Cadillac 3 that just produced my new stuff, and I made a couple records with Dave Cobb before that, and though the first record I made with Dave Cobb was for my solo stuff, the first time I ever really even worked with a producer. Yeah. And that was like the joy of it, is that he just, and Jaron was very similar, like they just can kind of cut through the excess in your songs, and really see like what the whole thing needs, as opposed to like the little bits and pieces you bring into it that you're kind of stuck on or whatever. So, I think it seems to be a big part of like what a producer does,
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to ask, because Dave Cobb is a name that probably a lot of our listeners are familiar with. I mean, working with, obviously you guys and, Jason Isbell, Chris Stapleton, sure, lots of people. Yeah. But what do you like? What do you like about working with Dave or another producer?
He's a great hang in the studio, and it's just so it just was so great to go sort of put my trust in him to steer the ship. And I just soaked it all up, man. I feel like I learned so much from being in the room with that dude and the musicians that he brings in, to work on the records. So, it was great. And like I said, that was the first time I'd ever done that, and I'd worked with a bunch of producers over the years in Foo Fighters stuff, but for my own thing, that was the first time I ever did that. I don't think I'll ever go back. I just loved it. And like I said, like working with Jaron was similar in that sense, because Jaron is such a great songwriter and fantastic producer that, you just, when you're working with somebody like that whose opinion you trust, it's sort of easy to let go of the reins and, more than you sort of instinctually want to, you know?
Yeah. Pull back the curtain on Jaron a little bit.
Pull back the curtain on Jaron.
You've said his name a few times.
The singer. Yeah, he's the singer, guitar player in the band Cadillac 3. He is a songwriter in Nashville. He's actually a Nashville native, but he's a songwriter out there and has written all kinds of, hit songs and stuff. It says your Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into a power outlet, and I don't have a goddamn power outlet with me.
Can we email him one?
We should just do a fake ending. Or like...
and Jaron is also a fantastic producer, and a friend, and it was really fun to work with him on all this stuff. He did a fantastic job.
Give us some other bands to listen to. I like to know. I want to know what you're listening to and why we should be listening to them as well.
Okay, well, probably the record that's hit me the hardest in the last year or so is that my friend Aaron Ratier put out a record called Single Wide Dreamer is what it's called. And I would recommend that to anybody. That is so good. Such a great record.
Can you spell that last name, Aaron? And then...
Oh, God. How do you spell his last name? It's so hard. It's hard
we'll
enough
look it
just
up.
to
We can
pronounce
it,
it, much less... it's I want to say it's Ratiere, or I might have thrown one too many
Aaron Ratier.
I's in there.
Ratier.
Yeah.
Ratier.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I always screw it up by pronouncing it Ratieri, but there's no E on the end. There's an E on the end, but you don't pronounce it. Yeah.
Single Wide Dreamer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go check that out.
Single Wide Dreamer, man, go check that out. And honestly, like I listen to like a lot of old stuff too.
Take us to give us some old stuff. Give us some stuff to go back to.
Okay. Well,
that's great.
If you've never listened to a Hanoi Rocks album called Back to Mystery City, That was a life-changing record for me personally when I was a teenager. What's some other old stuff that I like? I like, when I first started really getting into, I kind of got into country music through like alt country, basically, the 90s, like, Sunvolt and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
There we go.
When I first started really, that first Sunvolt record, come on, you can't go wrong with that. Anybody should listen to that. But when I first started diving into like classic country, my buddy told me to get the Buck Owens box set and the Merle Haggard box set.
Yeah.
And those are, you can't go wrong with those two. That'll keep you busy for a very, very long time. And I think they're both on Spotify. So it's like the Merle Haggard Capital Years. And I don't know what Bucks is called, but yeah, just tons of music. That's the shit.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. You want like great guitar playing and concise, perfect songwriting.
Yeah.
Go listen to that stuff.
It's an art. I was a barista at Starbucks, and they had some Starbucks compilation called Classic Country, and I was like, what the heck? And so I bought it at my Starbucks discount and popped it into my CD player on the way back from work, and I was just like, I'm hooked. I'm down. I had some Buck Owens and some Merle Haggard on there, and Wyland Jennings and Tammy. No, it was really influential. And then what I also really want to know is what's the best Christmas movie?
Oh, best Christmas movie, probably Elf. I'd probably go with Elf. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
We've watched Elf like a million times with my kids over the years.
It's so good.
And now I think it's just down to me and my wife watch it because they've probably watched it too much. But yeah, we're still watching it.
There is such thing as too much Elf. I will say that.
No,
you don't think so?
Yeah.
Every year, dude. Every year.
Oh my gosh.
At least
if you just keep it down to once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although we did just watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the other day, and that was pretty damn good still too.
That is a really good one.
That's a good one.
Those aren't pillows. People are like, what is he talking about? Okay. Well, hey, Chris, thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
When are either you or your rock and roll band hitting the road where we could see you? When is this happening?
Well, Foos have a lot of touring coming up this year, starting relatively soon, and I don't have the dates right in front of me, so I'm not sure how close we're getting to where you guys are. But as far as my solo stuff, I'm doing a run of dates at the end of March over in the UK, and I'm trying to figure out, kind of doing like fly-in stuff to festivals and things throughout the rest of the year.
UK is not next to us. We're not by the UK.
No, that's not too close. That's not too close.
Super disappointing.
Well, I might be playing a show in Austin around something at some point. I hate to be so vague, but we don't have the dates nailed down.
You know what we all have though?
There's 2
is
Buc-ee's
Google.
on the way to Austin.
We all have Google, so we can figure this
Might
out.
make the trip to Austin. Hey, when you're in the UK,
if you go to chrisshiflettmusic.com.
Yeah,
you
know
go.
what we should?
It's right there.
We should tell Mick and Dan right now on the podcast that you need to go be on That Pedal Show.
Yes,
and you would thoroughly. It's a lovely time, and you drive right by Stonehenge on the way. It's really great.
Oh,
it's literally right off the highway.
Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. Yeah.
A guy I was traveling with one time, he didn't know what Stonehenge was.
He called me to say,
he was like, "What is this?" So his first time to hear of Stonehenge was being there.
And
Imagine that.
He called me and he was like,
he hadn't even seen Spinal Tap?
No.
What? Yeah.
No.
He called me and he was like,
Wow.
Colt is so excited about these rocks. He was like, I don't understand it. They're just off the highway. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah, there's this dumb place called Easter Island. I don't know why everybody's all worked up about
Nobody's
it.
I guess it's like always Easter there. That's really cool. Full of eggs. Hey, thanks for being on the show today. Appreciate you. Grateful for you. And
Awesome, man. Good to meet you guys face to face.
Yeah. You too, dude.
see ya.